Imagine a revolution that doesn't just change governments, but tries to rewrite the way people think, speak, and even dream. That's what we call a cultural revolution. What is it? And why does it play such a central role in socialist theory and practice? In the Marxist-Leninist tradition and its further developments, a cultural revolution is a mass political and ideological struggle aimed at transforming not just economic and political structures, but also culture, consciousness, and daily life of the people. Even the expropriation of the bourgeoisie, even after that, there are remnants of capitalism, feudal or religious ideology, and petty bourgeois consciousness, embedded in people's thinking and cultural life. The Cultural Revolution seeks to destroy these ideological remnants and establish a new socialist consciousness rooted in the working class. According to the theory, class struggle does not end with the abolition of private property. It continues in the ideological and cultural sphere. A successful cultural revolution is necessary to consolidate socialism and prevent capitalist restoration. The Cultural Revolution is rooted in four main theoretical ideas. The highest form of class struggle in socialist society, the awakening and rapid development of the socialist consciousness of the masses with the help of criticism and self-criticism, and through the study of Marxism-Leninism, while simultaneously applying it concretely in practice. The concrete form of the application of the dictatorship of the proletariat against the bureaucratization of the party, state, and economic apparatus, thus against the rulers who follow the capitalist road, and the establishment of an ideological political dam against the danger of the restoration of capitalism. The Great Proletarian Revolution in China. After Stalin's death, a new bourgeoisie emerged within the Soviet leadership, betraying Marxism-Leninism. This opened the door to capitalist restoration. China's Great Proletarian Cultural Revolution, the GPCR, initiated under Mao Zedong's leadership, is the most well-known historical example of a cultural revolution. The GPCR aimed to prevent the restoration of capitalism by reshaping society through a sweeping ideological and cultural transformation. At its core, the movement sought to eliminate what were known as the Four Olds: old ideas, old culture, old customs, and old habits. This meant not only targeting outdated traditions, but also uprooting the ideological foundations of the existing social order. A central goal was to promote proletarian ideology in all areas of life: politics, education, art, and everyday behavior. To achieve this, youth and workers were mobilized in a direct political and cultural struggle that challenged the status quo. One of the most visible forces in this movement was the Red Guards, composed largely of students and young people, who were encouraged to question and confront bureaucrats, professors, and party elites. Their actions reflected the broader efforts to dismantle existing hierarchies and bringing revolutionary critique into every institution. Public criticism campaigns became a key method of this struggle. Wall newspapers and mass debates allowed people to publicly expose and denounce reactionary practices, especially in education, science, and cultural production. Intellectuals and party officials were often required to engage in manual labor, a symbolic act intended to break down the traditional divide between mental and physical labor and reinforce the value of working class experience. Furthermore, revolutionary committees were established to replace traditional party structures, ensuring that workers and peasants could directly participate in governance. These committees aimed to represent the masses more authentically and to reshape political power around revolutionary principles rather than bureaucratic privilege. The GPCR was not just a political campaign, it was an all encompassing effort to remake society in the image of the proletariat. We learn that this revolution aimed to touch the soul of the people, transforming not only institutions but also how people think, feel, and act. The movement embraced criticism and self criticism and encouraged the study and application of Mao Zedong thought. Despite mistakes, the GPCR is described as the highest form of class struggle in socialist society and as a new, historical, unique mass movement that shaped revolutionary strategy. The ideological and cultural revolution in Albania. Inspired by the Chinese model, Albania, under the leadership of Enver Hoxha, launched its own version of a cultural revolution, known as the Ideological and Cultural Revolution. This campaign sought to deepen socialism not just as a political system, but as a way of life that permeated every aspect of society. At its heart was a struggle against remnants of the past bureaucracy, religious influence, and pre-socialist traditions, all of which were seen as obstacles to the advancement of a truly socialist society. The Albanian Cultural Revolution focused on forging what was called the new man, a citizen who would embody socialist values in thought, acting, and character. This new type of human being was expected to be disciplined, selfless, and ideologically committed to the collective good. To achieve this transformation, mass participation was actively encouraged in all spheres of decision making, and ideological education was greatly expanded to ensure that the population was continuously exposed to socialist principles. Just like in China, the Albanian cultural and ideological revolution was not merely a political shift, it was a total cultural remolding of society. It emphasized the need for constant vigilance against reactionary ideas and upheld the leading role of the party as the guide in this transformative process. Though grassroots mobilization and cultural struggles, the revolution aimed to eliminate old mentalities and install a new, revolutionary consciousness across the population. The Cultural Revolution is a vital and necessary continuation of class struggle even under socialism. Rather than seeing socialism as a stable endpoint, the theory behind the Cultural Revolution argues that contradictions persist and that capitalist tendencies can re-emerge, especially through bureaucracy and entrenched privileges. Therefore, ongoing revolutionary vigilance is required to keep society on a socialist path. The Cultural Revolution is understood as a method of mass mobilization designed to prevent the restoration of capitalism. It rejects the idea that state power alone guarantees socialism, emphasizing instead the central role of the masses in direct, challenging reactionary elements within the party, the state, and society at large. This mobilization is not spontaneous. It is a conscious and organized strategy to deepen the revolution by engaging workers, youth, and peasants in political and cultural struggle. More than a political purge or campaign, the Cultural Revolution represents a strategy for ensuring that socialist construction transforms both material conditions and human consciousness. It demands that socialism reach beyond economic structures into the realm of ideology, values, and everyday life. Education, art, science, and interpersonal relations must be revolutionized to reflect proletarian values and to shape a new kind of citizen capable of sustaining a classless society. Historically, this approach was exemplified and most clearly in China, where the Great Proletarian Cultural Revolution provided a model of how revolutionaries could resist bureaucratic degeneration and the resurgence of bourgeois elements from within the socialist system itself. Rather than consolidating authority in a rigid hierarchy, it called for rupturous, organized disruptions of existing structures that allow the revolutionary energy of the people to reshape the direction of socialism. The Cultural Revolution, in this view, was not an aberration, but a historically grounded and essential practice for keeping socialist revolution alive and dynamic.